It ain't who is buried here, man. It's what.
That is the only warning you'll get before reality bends. I've been an investigator and insensitive for years. I've walked through the darkest places in New Orleans. I've stood in rooms where murders happened yesterday. But nothing prepared me for the hills of Tennessee. Nothing prepared me for the moment a local sheriff, a man with a gun on his hip and law on his chest, looked me dead in the eye while a figure shambled out of the ravine and whispered one single word.
Run.
And for the first time in my life, I didn't ask questions. I ran. Welcome back to Witnessing the Unseen. I'm your host. Tonight we are discussing and dissecting a case from my personal archives that I've hesitated to share. It involves a local near Nashville, deep in the heavy woods where the interstate cuts through the limestone. It's a place where history doesn't sleep, it walks. The location is an old cemetery dating back to the 1700s. It's not flat ground there. In this part of the country, the graveyards roll in waves, terraced hills carved in the earth, section by section. You have to climb steps cut into the rock to navigate the dead. There were 5 of us that night, 3 men, 2 women. I was there as a lead sensitive brought in to supervise a group that, well, quite frankly, hadn't done their homework. They saw a spooky graveyard and wanted a thrill, and I saw a labyrinth of stone and shadows. I always go in first to ground the area. I have a little ritual. I find dead grass, I pluck it, and lay it across the stone steps. It's a breadcrumb trail. In the pitch black of Tennessee night, when flashlights fail, you need to know the way back down. And I didn't know how crucial that grass would become. The sun was just beginning to dip below the ridge, the twilight hour, that dangerous time between the worlds. We were walking the perimeter, careful of our footing. You have to watch for sinkholes, caves, and snakes, copperheads, cottonmouths. But the first thing that stopped us wasn't a snake. It was a sound. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't an animal call. It was a scream. A guttural human yell that tore through the air, and then silence. Absolute, heavy silence. And then he landed. A raven, not a crow. This was massive, with that shaggy throat feathers and a beak like a dagger. He landed on a headstone just above us and started his clicking and clucking sounds. Ravens are intelligent. They watch, and this one was watching us with an intensity that felt human. Every time we moved up a terrace, he hopped to the next stone, keeping pace. He was hurting us. Or maybe he was warning us. One of the men, Mick, suddenly stopped. He didn't raise his voice, he just whispered, "We have company." Now, rule number 1 in an investigation, you don't use names and you don't panic. We froze. We peered into the gloom, straining our eyes against the dying light. And there he was. A figure, dressed entirely in black. He was walking along the upper ridge of the cemetery, but he wasn't walking like you or me. He was shuffling, his head cocked to the side, his arms hanging limp. He moved with a slow, rhythmic, zombie-esque gait. We didn't turn on our flashlights. You don't want to provoke someone who might be a squatter, or worse, armed. We just watched him. He had sunken eyes, hollow pits, where a soul should be. He seemed to look right through us, pacing back and forth, patrolling the tree line. The atmosphere shifted from caution to dread. The air grew heavy, like static electricity before a storm. We huddled closer, backs to each other, watching this watcher roam the hill. We turned inward to discuss our exit strategy. We were talking for maybe 10 seconds. When we turned back, the other woman in our group was gone. She had been standing right next to me. I could reach out and touch her shoulder 1 second, and the next, empty air. We didn't yell. If that thing on the hill was predatory, a scream was a dinner bell. I grabbed one of the guys and whispered, "Go down the hill, follow the grass markers, call the sheriff, now." He vanished into the dark to make the call. The rest of us stayed put, terrified to move. We scanned the ground for holes. Did she fall into a grave? Did the earth swallow her? Then the watcher got closer. He was about 20 feet away now. I could hear the crunch of the dry grass under his feet. He wasn't floating. He was physical. He was heavy. The raven swooped down, diving right at the figure's head, as if to say, "Back off." The figure stopped, turned slowly, and walked away again. We waited for about 45 minutes in that darkness. Just as panic was about to turn into hysteria, I felt a hand grip my arm. I nearly screamed. I spun around, ready to fight, and it was the missing woman. She was standing exactly where she was when she vanished. "Where did you guys go?" she asked. Her voice was trembling. "You just disappeared. I've been standing right here screaming for you." I looked at her. "We haven't moved. I've walked around the tombstone 20 times looking for you." She shook her head. "I never left." That's when I realized we were dealing with distortion, a folding in the environment. Finally, a single red light appeared at the bottom of the hill. No siren, just a silent spinning red beacon. We made our way down. The sheriff, let's call him Officer Mike, was a small man, older, thicker local accent, and eyes that had seen too much. We tried to apologize. "Sir, we thought our friend was lost, but she's here. We're so sorry to waste your time." He didn't look annoyed. He looked resigned. He looked up the hill toward where the watcher was still pacing. "That ain't no mistake," he said. "We know who he is." I pointed up to the ridge. "You see him? The guy in black?" "Yes, ma'am. We see him. We don't pay him no mind. And he don't pay us none, long as we stay down here." I pressed him. "Who is he? Is he a squatter?" And the sheriff spat on the ground and said, "Have you ever heard of the Bell Witch?" Tennessee is soaked in blood and folklore, and the Bell Witch is our most famous haunt. The sheriff explained that locals believe this entity, the Watcher, was conjured. He's a guardian, and he's not alone. "That lady there," the sheriff pointed to our missing friend, "she got caught behind a curtain." "A curtain?" I asked. "Yeah, it's a veil. The witch put 'em up. You step in the wrong spot, you go invisible. You can't see us, and we can't see you. You're just gone until the curtain lets you go." He spoke about it like he was discussing the weather, like dimensional rifts were just a nuance of the local geography. "And that raven?" I asked. "The raven keeps him in," he said. "Keeps the watcher in the graveyard. If he leaves, if he tries to leave, the bird turns him back. The sheriff wanted to show us where the curtains were strongest. It was a bad idea, but curiosity is a disease. We followed him up the backside of the hill, past the woods, to a steep drop-off, a ravine that cut down into the earth. Down in that hollow were 7 markers, not headstones, just rough, jagged rocks set in perfect circle. I tried to take a Polaroid, whiteout. Every single photo came out blank. The energy down there was electric, buzzing against my skin. "Don't get too close, ma'am," the sheriff whispered. His hand was resting on his holster. "Do you know who is buried there?" I asked. That's when he said it, the line that still wakes me up at night. "It ain't who, ma'am. It's what." Suddenly, a massive crash echoed from the ridge above. We looked up, and that watcher, that shambling dark thing, had walked right off the edge of the hill. He fell 30 feet down into the ravine, hitting the ground with a sickening thud. We froze. A human body would be broken and shattered. But the thing on the ground just unfolded. It stood up, joints popping, neck cracking back into place, and it turned its sunken, hollow face toward us and started to walk. It was coming for us. I looked at the sheriff, expecting him to draw his weapon, and I expected him to take charge. He looked at me, his face pale as the moon, and said one word: "Run." I didn't hesitate. I scrambled up that ravine wall like a feral cat. I dug my fingers into the dirt, breaking every nail I had, clawing my way up the limestone, and I didn't look back. I didn't care. Survival instinct is a cold, hard thing. We sprinted past the curtains, past the old mausoleums, past the breadcrumb trail of grass I laid down, and we didn't stop until we hit the cars at the bottom of the hill. The sheriff came up last, panting, looking terrified. "I suggest you folks don't come back here," he wheezed. "Nobody comes here anymore, not since the last caretaker quit." I later spoke to the contact of mine, a lieutenant in the state police. I needed to know if I had lost my mind. If I had hallucinated the whole thing, I needed to know. He didn't laugh. He told me about the calls. High school football players found crying in that cemetery. 2 girls who went missing near the ravine 5 years ago and were never found. He confirmed the lore. The crosses along the highway aren't just for decoration. They're for containment. There are places in this world that do not belong to us. We draw lines on maps and we put up fences. We name them. But they belong to the watchers. I haven't been back to that hill. I don't know if the curtain is still active or if that raven is still holding the line. But one thing I do know is when the locals tell you to stay away, you need to listen. If you have a story from the deep woods or if you've seen the watcher, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Witnessing the Unseen. And until next time, keep your eyes open.